In our life, some people are very special, but still we have to leave them at some point is the truth that echoes through the halls of every human heart. And this is the story of a young man named Julian who lived in a village where the autumn leaves stayed gold for a long time. And his grandfather Elias was the center of his world. Elias was the one who taught Julian how to listen to the whisper of the trees and how to find beauty in the cracks of a broken stone. And for 20 years, they were inseparable, like the shore and the tide, where Julian could not imagine a single day without the old man's wisdom or the steady warmth of his presence. He believed that special people were meant to stay forever, and that his grandfather was an anchor that would never let him drift into the cold unknown. But as the seasons turned and Elias grew frail, Julian realized with a heavy heart that the universe has a way of asking us to let go of the very hands we never want to release. Because life is not a permanent possession, but a beautiful temporary loan. Elias called him to his bedside one evening when the moon was thin and pale, and told him that the hardest part of loving someone is the courage to say goodbye when their journey on this earth is complete. Julian wept and begged the stars to stop the clock, but he slowly understood that holding on too tightly to a soul that is ready to fly is not love, but a form of selfishness that prevents the other person from reaching their peace. He learned that we have to leave special people not because the love has ended, but because the purpose of their presence in our life has been fulfilled, and their light must now move on to illuminate another realm. The pain of leaving was like a sharp blade in his chest, but Elias left him with a lesson that changed his grief into a quiet strength, telling him that people are like seasons. And just because summer must end, it does not mean the sun has died. It simply means it is time for the harvest of what they planted in your soul. Julian walked out into the cold night after his grandfather passed, and for a long time he felt like a map without a traveler. But as he looked at his own hands, he saw the way he held his pen and the way he spoke to the lonely neighbors, and he realized that Elias had never truly left him, because the best parts of the people we leave behind stay woven into the fabric of our own character. He discovered through this experience that the special people in our lives are like stars that guide us through the dark, and even when the sun rises and we can no longer see them, they are still there, watching over the horizon of our memories. The motivation he found was that we must live twice as hard and loved twice as much to honor those who are no longer walking beside us, and that the beauty of a person is not measured by how long they stayed, but by how much they changed us while they were here. His guidance for anyone facing this sorrow is to understand that letting go is the ultimate act of respect for the journey of another, and that your heart is large enough to hold the weight of their absence and the light of their legacy at the same time. And so Julian lived on, carrying the spirit of the old man in every step he took, proving that even when we have to leave the ones we love, the connection remains an eternal bridge that time can never destroy. The journey of Julian continued through the years, as he realized that the space left behind by a special person is not a void, but a sacred room where one can grow into their own strength. And he started a tradition in his village of planting a tree for every loved one who had passed, ensuring that the roots of the past would nourish the oxygen of the future. He found that the memory of his grandfather's voice would return to him in moments of great doubt, acting as a compass that pointed toward the right path. Even when the map of his life seemed blurry and unreadable, he experienced the profound truth that letting go was like the autumn trees shedding their leaves, which is not an act of death, but a preparation for a new spring where a different kind of beauty can bloom. He shared his story with the broken-hearted travelers who passed through the village, telling them that the pain of parting is the price we pay for the privilege of having known a soul so magnificent that it changed our entire world. He motivated them to stop looking at the empty chair and start looking at the full heart, because a person's impact is measured by the courage they sparked in you to keep going when they are gone. His guidance was for everyone to treat every conversation as a precious gift, because we never know which halal will be the last, and to build a legacy that makes the people we left behind proud of the person we have become. He discovered that the ultimate maturity of the human soul is to be able to say thank you for the time we had instead of why did you have to go? And as he stood on the cliffs overlooking the sea, he felt a gentle breeze that felt like a hand on his shoulder, reminding him that love is energy, and energy can never be destroyed, it only changes form. And so he lived his life as a living monument to the one he had to leave, proving that a special person never truly departs, but simply moves from sitting beside you to living inside you. Have you ever felt completely stuck? Like you're carrying a weight so heavy you can barely move? Maybe it's a past mistake, a broken relationship, or a dream that didn't pan out. We've all been there. Today, I want to share a story with you. A story about a man named Julian and a journey that teaches us one of life's most profound lessons. The Art of Letting Go. Our story begins with Julian, a man who, from the outside, had it all. A successful career, a beautiful home, a life many would envy. But inside, Julian was crumbling. He was haunted by the ghost of a past business failure. It wasn't just about the money he lost. It was the betrayal by a trusted partner, the public embarrassment, and the shattering of his own self. He replayed the events over and over in his mind, a mental movie on a loop. What if he had been more careful? What if he had listened to that nagging doubt? These questions were his constant companions, poisoning his present and clouding his future. His relationships suffered. He became distant with his family, irritable with his friends. He stopped pursuing new opportunities, terrified of failing again. The joy was gone, replaced by a constant, low-grade anxiety and a deep-seated bitterness. Julian was a prisoner of his own past, locked in a cell of his own making, and he didn't even realize he was holding the key. One day, overwhelmed by his own misery, Julian decided he needed to get away. He booked a trip to a quiet, coastal village he'd heard about, a place known for its serene landscapes and simple way of life. He didn't have a plan. He just knew he couldn't stay where he was. Upon arribing, he spent his days walking along the shore, the rhythmic crash of the waves, a stark contrast to the chaos in his mind. One evening, as the sun was setting, casting a warm, golden glow over the water, he met an old fisherman named Elias. Elias was mending his nets, his hands gnarled and weathered by a lifetime at sea, but his eyes held a surprising clarity and peace. They started talking. Julian, perhaps feeling safe with a stranger, found himself pouring out his story, the whole saga of his failure and lingering pain. Elias listened patiently, not interrupting, just nodding. Occasionally, when Julian finished, his voice hoarsed with emotion. He expected sympathy, or maybe some practical advice. Instead, Elias said something unexpected. "Come with me tomorrow morning," the old man said. "I have something to show you." Curious, Julian agreed. The next morning, before dawn, they met at the dock. Elias led him to his small, sturdy boat. As they sailed out, the sky began to lighten, painting the clouds in shades of pink and orange. After a while, Elias stopped the engine and dropped anchor. He then handed Julian a small, tightly sealed wooden box. "What's this?" Julian asked him. "This," Elias replied, "is a lobster trap. But today, it's something more. I want you to imagine that everything you told me last night, all the anger, the regret, the shame is inside this box. Every single painful memory." Julian held the box. It felt surprisingly heavy in his hands. He closed his eyes and did as he was told, visualizing all his bitterness and disappointment being packed tightly into that small container. He pictured the face of his former partner, the sting of his public failure, the endless nights spent staring at the ceiling. "Now," Elias said gently, "I want you to hold on to it. Don't let it go." And so, Julian held the box. At first, it was easy, but as the sun rose higher in the sky, the box began to feel heavier. His arms started to ache and a whirr. His muscles screamed in protest. He tried switching hands, but both arms grew tired. The boat rocked gently on the waves, a peaceful scene that Julian couldn't enjoy because all his focus was on the strain of holding this box. "My arm hurts," Julian finally admitted, sweat beading on his forehead. "It's getting really heavy." Elias simply nodded. "I know." Another hour crawled by. The pain was now a deep, burning sensation running from his shoulder to his fingertips. He was miserable. He couldn't think about the beautiful sunrise he'd just witnessed, or the fresh sea air. All he could feel was the weight, the strain, the pointless effort of holding on. "I can't do this anymore," Julian exclaimed, his voice filled with frustration. "It's too heavy. Why are you making me do this?" Elias looked at him, his gaze calm and direct. "I'm not making you do anything, Julian. You are the one choosing to hold it." The words hit Julian like a wave. He looked down at the box, then at his own trembling, white-knuckled hands. He was choosing to hold it. Elias continued, his voice soft but firm. "That box is your past. The pain, the anger, the regret. You've been carrying it for years. It was heavy then, and it's only gotten heavier over time. It's so heavy now that you can't enjoy the sunrise. You can't feel the sea breeze. You can't even think about navigating your boat forward. All your energy is spent just holding on. Tears welled up in Julian's eyes. For the first time, he truly understood. The pain wasn't some external force that had a hold on him. It was something he was actively clinging to every single day. "So what do I do?" Julian asked, his voice barely a whisper. Elias smiled a kind, knowing smile. "What do you think you should do with something that is causing you so much pain? Something that is keeping you from moving forward?" Julian looked at the box, then at the vast, open ocean around him. The answer was so simple, so obvious. It had been there all along. He took a deep breath, and with a surge of decision, he loosened his grip. He opened his hands and simply let it drop. The box hit the water with a small splash and disappeared beneath the surface. And in that moment, an incredible feeling washed over Julian. It was a feeling of lightness, of freedom. The burning in his arms subsided, but the relief he felt was so much more than physical. It was as if a massive weight had been lifted from his soul. He could breathe again, deeply and freely. He looked around and saw the world as if for the first time. The sun on the water, the cry of a distant gull, the gentle rocking of the boat was all so beautiful. He turned to Elias, his face wet with tears. But this time they were tears of gratitude. "Thank you," he said. Elias placed a hand on his shoulder. "Remember this feeling, Julian. Letting go is not about forgetting. You will never forget what happened. It is part of your story. Letting go is about releasing the emotional charge. It's about choosing to no longer let the past control your present. You can't sail a ship forward if your anchor is stuck in the harbor you left long ago." Julian's journey didn't end there. Letting go wasn't a one-time event, but a continuous practice. Whenever he felt the old bitterness or regret creeping back in, he would close his eyes and remember that morning on the boat. He would remember the choice he had, to hold on to the heavy box, or to let it go and feel the freedom. He learned to forgive, not for his former partner's sake, but for his own. He learned to see his failure not as a defining brand of shame, but as a painful yet powerful lesson. He started reconnecting with his family, took a risk on a new venture, and slowly, piece by piece, he rebuilt his life. But this time, it was built on a new foundation, one of acceptance, resilience, and the profound wisdom of letting go. So many of us are like Julian, carrying our own invisible boxers. We convince ourselves we have to carry them, that they are a part of who we are. But the story of Julian and Elias teaches us a powerful truth. The prison door is unlocked. We are holding the key. The weight is only ours for as long as we choose to hold it. Letting go is a choice. It's the choice to stop replaying the past and start living in the present. It's the choice to release the anchor and finally set sail. It's not always easy, but as Julian discovered, it is the first step toward finding peace and reclaiming your life. What box are you holding on to today? Maybe it's time to sail out onto the water, take a deep breath, and just let it drop. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, please give it a like and subscribe for more content to help you live a more mindful and fulfilling life. See you in the next one. Your time is coming. Keep believing. Keep fighting. Don't just watch. Go out and prove them wrong. Thank you for being part of the journey. If you liked it, please like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.